My son, John, was diagnosed with epilepsy about a year ago. And he first had a concussion about 6-7 months prior to his, or he had a concussion a month before his first seizure. And then he went about 6 months where we didn't see any seizure activity at all. And then after he had his second seizure in February, the doctors told him there were a lot of things that he couldn't do anymore. They didn't want him to go skiing, or they didn't want him to do some of the things that he loves to do. And so after his diagnosis, he was just beyond depressed. You don't want to hear your 10-year-old saying the kinds of things, that he was saying. So his doctors were great, and once we got into the neurologist, and one of the nurses from the neurology office said, "Hey, have you ever heard about Camp Discovery?" And I hadn't, and it was, by about this time was about April, end of April, and he'd had a couple more seizures between the second one and when he ended up going to Camp Discovery. So it was all very scary for Mom, and new, and all this information, and so much to learn about what this means for my child. And so going from that to how he was when he came back from camp was amazing. He, like I said before, right after the diagnosis and before we had the seizures under control, and he was it was a secret that he didn't want anybody to know. He didn't want to tell any of his friends. He didn't want me to talk about it with anyone. And it was so hard to see this little body having all this stress and fear and of the unknown of what was happening. And I'm a bit of a smother mother, like helicopter mom really describes me pretty well. So, all of his friends were going off to camp. He was just turned 10 when he was diagnosed, so that's kind of the time that all the friends are starting to do these overnight camps. And he was hearing about all that and thinking, there's no way I can go to camp. His seizures are at nighttime when he's tired. So I found out about it and looked into it, and I thought, I gotta do something for him to kind of get him to be able to talk about having epilepsy, and that it's not a secret, and that it's nothing for him to be ashamed of, or it's nothing that he can control. Anyway, he went to camp, and those were tough 4 days for Mom to not be in touch with him and not really know how he was doing, but it was the best thing I could have done for him, because he got back in the car at the end of camp, and I said, "So how'd it go? What do you think?" And he said, "Mom, I can overcome anything now." And I mean, it was just, it was so amazing to have him have his confidence back and his sense of himself. And so we will definitely do Camp Discovery again this summer, and I'm really excited for him to see all his friends. He's kept in contact with a couple of the other ones, and really it's been the kids in his cabin. It's really been great for me to connect to some of the other moms who have been through kind of the same thing, and we talk about, how is this affecting your child and you, and all of the things that it affects. So I'm so thankful for that experience and that time that he was able to spend there. It's an amazing gift. If you want to be part of something that changes lives and gives people hope, this is the thing to do. And thank you to those who do support it, so other kids like John can go.